If you're new to the IT field contracting industry and you want to know what kind of tools, what kind of supplies and things am I going to need to have so I can complete service calls on platforms like FieldNation, WorkMarket, CloudWork Pro, or even your own direct clients. Maybe you're an experienced tech and you just want to peek behind the curtain of another tech setup and see how they do it to get new ideas. Then this is the video for you. I'm a little OCD, but I have found that being well organized and having as much as you can possibly have in your work vehicle makes it so much more efficient out in the field. It drives me nuts to be on a service call and to need something simple and small that I could have had with me, and I have to leave the site and go buy it and come back. Today I'm going to show you my full work van loadout. I have put this together over 25 years of working in the field and real life examples of, oh, I need that on the van. This video was sponsored by CloudWork Pro, your source for IT field contracting. Learn more about them at cloudworkpro.com, or you can click the link in the description of the video. This is going to be a comprehensive video, so grab a cup of coffee, a notepad and a pen, and let's get into it. If you don't want to bother writing everything down, I have a list that is my full van loadout. It is available on my website at fieldtechacademy.com. It includes a list of every single item that I put in my van, and it also includes breakdowns of what I keep in individual tubs and organizers. I try to set this up to make this easy for you so that you can hit the ground running or improve your already existing system. What you see behind me here is basically my entire van loadout. I typically carry more than one box of cable. I just put a box up for an example's sake. I hate having tons of things loosely rolling around in my van or simply not being able to find something that I need. So I've come up with all kinds of creative ways of storing all of my equipment, from using fishing Flambeau tubs to organize some of my larger parts, to using PVC tubes for my fish sticks and a PVC tube for my long drill bits, as well as how I organize my smaller parts in Dewalt small parts organizers. I also use some larger tubs for some oversized things and for some bulk items like patch cables and random audio video cables and computer power cords and all the things that you can think of that are just normally thrown loose in a van. I try to keep everything together so that when I need it, I know where to go to find it. One of the key things that you're going to need is a multi-position ladder. Unless you have a large truck or a commercial work van, you probably don't have room for full-on 10-foot, 12-foot ladders. This particular one is made by Gorilla. I also use Little Giant ladders. I personally like the Little Giants better. The release mechanisms on the Little Giants are much easier to deal with than the Gorillas. When you're looking at multi-position ladders, they start very small and they go very large. Typically you want to count the number of rungs, and that'll give you a rough idea of how high it can go. This particular one is an MPX 17, so it's roughly their 17-18 version of the Little Giant. This is about 4 feet, so if you can fit this model that has the 4 rungs on it, this is going to give you the max amount of reach. This size ladder covers me for about 90-95% of the calls that I run. For that other small percentage, when I need to reach like a 16 or 17 foot ceiling, this doesn't quite get there, so I have another Little Giant that is the next size up that helps me to reach those extra heights. It's a little larger and a little heavier, so I don't carry it in my work van at all times. I try to look at my work order descriptions and figure out, okay, I'm going to need it, so I keep it in my storage building and I haul it when I need to. Another ladder item that I like to carry is a 3-foot step stool. This one is made by Gorilla. The reason I like it is because it has this large platform on top. You can actually stand on that platform, so you're not standing on a rung. As you know, when you're doing jobs and you're standing on those rungs for several hours a day, your feet start killing you. So it's nice to have this so you can stand flat-footed on something. And there's a lot of environments where you can actually just use this and you don't have to lug in your full-scale ladder. I always try to keep a long level as well as a short 1-foot level. The longer levels work in certain environments when you've got to spread out a little further and make sure that you're level across multiple devices. And obviously a longer level is going to give you a more accurate level reading. Obviously, if you're doing cabling, you want to have boxes of cable. At this point in time, I don't buy any Cat5 cable. Sometimes I inherit Cat5 cable boxes from jobs where the client ships it out. But For me personally, I only buy Cat 6 so that I'm carrying one type of cable. And honestly, I just buy plenum. That way, if the job asks for Cat 5, I can use Cat 6 plenum. If it asks for Cat 5 plenum, I can use my Cat 6. It just makes it easier so I don't have to stock a bunch of different cable types and have 15 million boxes in my van. I just buy Cat 6 plenum, multiple boxes of it, and I call it good. Most of your buyers and most of your clients are not going to care if you charge a few more cents for the plenum than you would if you were charging for Cat 5. The next large item that I carry is a fish sticks tube. This is something that I made myself. I'll show a pop-up above that goes directly to that video if you want to see how to create this, but it's really simple. It just has a threaded top on it. Then I can carry 6 fish sticks in here very easily. I can probably carry a few more, but 6 fish sticks usually covers me for most of the jobs that I want to do. I use this so that I don't have my fish sticks scattered out in my van and I'm having to find them. It's very easy to carry them in and out of a site. Another PVC item that I've created is my drill bit tube. Same concept, threaded top. A lot of times you're going to need longer drill bits to drill all the way through walls. So this allows me to carry my 1 to 2 foot drill bits and keep them all in one place where I can find them. And I carry masonry, wood, metal, and even paddle bits to make sure that I can cover most environments. And just a little tip, make sure you put the sharp end down into the tube so that when you're dumping it out, you don't stab your hand. This is so that you can use spooled cable. Now, I don't buy spooled cable, but a lot of times you're going to have a client provide cable for you, and for some reason, some of them send cable that's on spools instead of in boxes. You pull the cotter pin, slide the spool on here, and it pulls off much easier than trying to just pull it laying on the ground. The next thing you need to have as a tech in the field is a bucket of pull string. Using pull string for conduit and even pulling long runs and then pulling a pull string with it allows you to sometimes save yourself a lot of labor time. Most techs that I see just throw a lot of things in their van, and you may be in a situation to where you're using your van for family and you're using your van for work. Having things in these organizing tubs makes it easier to offload everything out into the garage or into your storage building, empty out your vehicle, and then put everything back without having to scramble and gather up a bunch of cables. I use this tub for my little handheld vacuum, for extension cords, jumper cables, things that are dirtier because I've got the vacuum in there and inevitably it's gonna throw dust in here. I have another tub that I use for patch cables. You know, you're going to go out on a lot of job sites and the client's going to ship stuff out and you're not going to use all of them. So you kind of accumulate them, or you're going to buy some if you're just getting started. You want to make sure you have different lengths of patch cables and keep them on hand. You want to have 1-footers for the short switch runs. You want to have 3-footers and 5-footers and 7-footers and 15-footers. It's nice to have cables that are long enough to reach, but not overly long. And you're going to do a lot of calls where clients ship patch cables out and they don't get used, so it's nice to have a place to throw them and accumulate them, because I'm always a pack rat. If it's shipped to site and they don't need it, they don't want it back, then it's going in my van. In this tub, I keep a lot of miscellaneous audio video type cabling, you know, computer power cords, HDMI cables, VGA cables, DVI cables, 3.5 millimeter audio cables, just all that random cable type stuff that you end up accumulating goes in here, and it can be a lifesaver. You get out on a job site and you're like, oh crap, I don't have a computer power cord. You go here. I also keep surge protectors in here and different kinds of adapters. It's my catch-all tub basically. You'll notice that this tub is a little bit larger than these tubs. I use this one for like my fish tape. I keep a lot of bags of zip ties. I keep a tape gun in here. I keep spare packing tape. I keep a 24-port patch panel in here at all times, so in case I go to a job site, I got it right there to be able to sell to them on the spot. And I keep some 4-inch electrical boxes and adapter plates to go from the 4-inch electrical boxes to normal wall plate sizes. Other large items that end up taking up space and becoming problematic are things like C-channel and threaded rods. They call them all thread. Sometimes you have to use surface mount strips on the wall, and those kind of things are the worst for being scattered in the van. So I bought this gig bag. I carry a strip of C-channel that's a little bit shorter. I carry threaded rod. These are pre-cut at this length. Typically that's about all you need. And in those situations where I have to buy wall-mounted cover kits. It's one of those situations where maybe you'll use one strip of it and then you've got this packaged loose with all the little adapters and everything that come with it. So all that gets thrown in here so that I can keep track of it and it's not just loose in the van. When it comes to organizing kind of my medium-sized items like wall plates and J-hooks, things like that, then I go to my Flambeau tubs. They've got dividers that can be shifted around. In this particular one, I have my small J-hooks that have the bat wings on them. I've got small J-hooks that have beam clamps, and then I've got medium-sized J-hooks. I have another Flambeau tub that I just divide in half. That's where I put my large J-hooks, the ones that have bat wing on one side, the one that have C-clamps on the other side. I use this Flambeau tub for all of my toggler bolts. I use toggler bolts all the time to mount tons and tons of heavy equipment when I only have one stud or I can't get into two studs or I have to go strictly into drywall. I also have an area for kind of the random face plates, things like the Decora wall plates that have a rectangle in them. I keep a coax one in here, and I also keep a bunch of blank wall plates in case I need to fill a hole where maybe we're doing a demo and we're pulling cable out. So I keep, a white and an ivory and a black, and then I keep surface mount wall boxes in here as well. Now in this wall tub, I've divided it out to where I have all my wall plates. I have them all in one place. I've got my 1 ports, and I do pretty much 2/3 white and 1/3 ivory. You do end up using ivory in some situations, but white is the most common. 2 ports, then my 3 to 6 ports, because they're not as commonly used. So I like to keep a larger number of the 1 and 2 ports, and then I just spread out my 3 and 6 ports into one area here. Then I do my drywall brackets in this section so that I can always have the little aluminum plates to put in drywall, so I have something to mount the wall plates to. I keep this little fabric bag with ratchet straps in it. I use this when I have to rent an actual 14 or larger ladder or transport something on top of my roof. That way I've got something to strap it down to be safe. You always want to have a set of sockets. If you can get a socket set that has open-ended wrenches with it, that's great, because you don't have to have separate containers. In this case, I just have this socket set, and then in this tub, I keep fabric bags that have my SAE open-ended wrenches and my metric open-ended wrenches. And I keep them in separate fabric bags so that I'm not digging through metric looking for an SAE and vice versa. This is my laser level. When you're mounting a TV or some other types of devices, especially if they're spread out over a large distance, having a laser level can really save your life. This is my nicer cable tester, does PoE and has some remotes so I can test multiple cables all at once. Now with a lot of these jobs you need a laptop because you're going to have to console into routers and different pieces of equipment. So I have a separate laptop backpack style bag that I take because I want to keep my laptop clean and protect it. And I carry the laptop, the power cord, charging cables for my cell phone, my tablet, and I carry a lot of little pieces and adapters that I need to console into equipment. I already have a video out that goes into detail over exactly what is in this bag and what all I use it for. I'll put a pop-up up above. That way you can jump directly to that video when you're ready to watch that. Now, of course, you gotta have tool bags. So I carry 2 different styles of tool bags. Both of these are Dewalt. They've got interior pockets, and I'll go into more details on these in my subsequent videos. But just to give you an idea, this is the 18-inch, this is the 16-inch. This I call my main tool bag, and this is what I carry into most job sites. I keep all of my key items that I use most commonly in this bag, so that when I walk into a job site, I have most of what I'm going to need on hand, so I don't have to go back and forth to the van 15 million times. This larger tool bag I use for cutting and drilling. So I keep a skill saw in here, I keep my hammer drill, I keep my oscillating tool, I keep all my blades in here so I can cut wood and metal and masonry. So for all of my really small items, I like to keep these little organizers. For example, on this one, I keep spare tips for my driver. I keep a PH2 flathead and a PH2 Phillips and an extra magnetic holder so I could use it in my hammer drill if I need to have 2 different ones going with screwdriver type tips. I keep socket adapters so that I can go from my drill to my socket set. I do keep nut drivers in here, but there's only 5 sizes that come with most of the nut driver sets. So that's why I keep the socket adapters so that I can go to other sizes if needed. Then I keep all of my fish sticks accessories in here because they ship these things out and I'm not going to throw my fish stick accessories into that tube. You've got a little chain, you've got a magnet, you've got a hook, and you've got a bullet nose to go through, harder things like fiberglass insulation, things like that. In this organizer, I keep a variety of computer screws. I keep some drywall and miscellaneous screws. I keep RJ45 ends. I keep wall plate screws in here. There are some times you're going to run into situations where you need longer than average wall plate screws. So I've bought some of those and I keep those in here, as well as the standard length ones in the different colors, white and ivory and all that. And then I keep some drywall anchors in here. I keep larger quantities of these items in my larger organizers, but I keep this in my main tool bag, so I'm not having to run out to the van if I just need an RJ45 end. In this tub, I keep spare batteries. Again, I hate having to run to the store and buy at retail price. So I buy Amazon batteries in bulk. I've got AAA, AA, 9 volt. And then in this area, I've got a little tester that uses some really oddball little circular batteries. And I keep a CMOS battery, so that I've got a normal computer CMOS battery, that 2032. A lot of different pieces of equipment use that. And then of course, if you're doing rack and stack, you're going to need different kinds of rack screws. So every time I end up with extras out of a package, I throw them in here. And you got to remember, there's tons of different thread types. So you try to keep a variety of them in here so you can go into different types of racks. Before I go into the details on what I keep in my mid-size organizer tubs, I want to introduce you to our video sponsor, CloudWork Pro. CloudWork Pro is an on-demand IT field services marketplace that brings together clients and technicians to perform on-site service work. CloudWork Pro stands apart from other online marketplaces in a few key ways. They are laser focused on being the best of the best. They want the best technicians and they want the best clients. They vet every single technician and run them through a one-on-one interview with the CloudWork Pro staff to ensure that they are professional and dependable. They want to know that the clients are respecting and rewarding the technicians on the platform. And the technicians have given the clients on the CloudWork Pro marketplace a satisfaction rating of 99.5%. If you'd like to join the marketplace as a technician or as a client, visit them at cloudworkpro.com, or you can click the link in the description. That is a referral link from FieldTech Academy to let them know that we sent you. Now let's talk about the organizers. Now my larger organizers, I've got them all labeled so that when they're in my van, I actually stand them up and slide them in, and then I can open my back door and I can look and I can see exactly which organizer I need to get. This is my machine threaded organizer. I keep all of my spare TV mounting bolts, washers, fender washers, lock washers, grommets for counters if you have to drill circular holes. That way you can run cables through, make it look neat. And then of course I've got a couple of spots for miscellaneous nuts and bolts, because you always end up buying something for a job and don't need it again, but it's always nice to have spares for that one job when you're like, oh, I may have that size. In addition to my machine threaded organizer, I keep a coarse threaded organizer. This is for my more aggressive stuff, you know, lag bolts, tap cons, self tappers. I keep a specific size of screw for wall mounting equipment, for things that have that little circle on the back of them with the insert where you can put it on the wall and drag it down over the screw. You got to have the right size head on those screws for that to all fit together. And then there are some situations where you need maybe longer wood screws, 2 inches and things like that. So I keep those in here. I also keep wire nuts in here if I have to splice certain kinds of cable, not network or phone, but you know, certain kinds of audio, video cable and things like that. And then I keep some zip tie mounting items in here so that you can actually screw the little black brackets to the wall and then run zip ties through them. Next is kind of my mounting hardware. I keep bridle rings and hose clamps and C-channel parts and EMT connectors and hangers and straps, rack management pieces, beam clamps, and my spare electrical tape and my spare label maker labels. Again, these are small things. I like to keep spares, but if you throw them in one of these bigger tubs, then you're going to lose track of them. So it's nice to have a specific spot for them. That way you know when you've used your last one, you can refill. This is my networking bin. I keep single port surface mount, 2-port surface mount, my drywall anchors. The way I decided what goes in what bin partially is type. You know, obviously I've got the machine threaded bin and I have the coarse threaded bin, but why I decided to put drywall anchors in this rather than putting it in another tub was because a lot of times I found that when I was doing this type of work and when I was needing to do cabling and come get my keystones or come get my surface mounts, things like that, I was also mounting something, so I put my drywall anchors in this tub. I also did drywall screws, and I have drywall screws in some of the other tubs so that when I take that tub, I have drywall screws for that task. And then I've got my RJ45 ends. I've got Cat 5 and Cat 6. You know, Cat 6 requires you to have a little bit larger and offset pins, so you got to keep these separate so you're not digging through to figure out, is this Cat 5 or is this Cat 6? So I keep those separate. And then of course I've got Cat 6 keystones and then Cat 5 keystones. Again, I'm not buying Cat 5 keystones, but you inherit them from job sites, and I still have some left over from when we did buy them, and I use them when we're allowed to use them, and trying to clear them out so I can use this for something else, but that's what I put in this one. Next we have the phone bin. This old guy is not being used as much anymore. Analog phone is definitely not as prevalent as it used to be, but when you need those items, you need those items. So I keep a 66 block with a mounting bracket. I keep Scotch locks and wire spools and bridge clips, DSL filters, RJ48, RJ31 surface mounts, RJ11/12 ends, your RJ11 keystones, silver satin phone cables. I keep all my wall plate blanks in here. I don't use it very often, so that's why I put it in my phone bin. But you're going to run into situations to where maybe you've used all your wall plates and you've only got a 3-port and you're only using 2 ports, so you've got these blanks to fill in that 3rd spot. Or if you're doing a demo site, sometimes you need to pull one cable out and leave the others. Again, drywall screws, phone splitters, and I also keep my Phoenix plugs in here. Lastly, let's talk about my main tool bag. In the description of this video, I have links to Amazon shopping lists that are going to contain a lot of these items, so you don't have to go hunting them down. Like I said, I'm going to do some future videos that will go into more granular detail on all of these items and what I use them for. But just to give you an idea, in my main tool bag, I carry things like my hip pouch. I like having a hip pouch so that I can stick it on my belt and I can carry around most things that I need on most cabling jobs. I also keep 2 of the organizer bins that I showed you earlier, and then I keep 2 other ones in my drill and cutting tool bag. In this bag, I also keep my tone and trace set, my butt set, my impact driver, and again, my hammer drill is in here, so I keep my impact, because most of the time I don't need a hammer drill, so this covers me in most cases. Keep my big spool of Velcro so I can do cable management, my label maker, tape measure, and then, you know, pliers and side cutters, my little level, my full-size screwdrivers, and then I keep some short stubby screwdrivers, cable strippers, my crimping tool for my Dynacom branded keystones. I keep an electrical tester, my magnetic stud finder, my safety glasses, a few extra zip ties, and my trusty LED headlamp. So there's what an overly organized field tech keeps in their van. Hope that helps you get yourself set up if you're new, or gives you some new ideas if you're an existing tech. This video was sponsored by CloudWork Pro, your source for on-demand IT field service work. Learn more about them at cloudworkpro.com, or you can click the link in the description. I also have a playlist on CloudWork Pro that goes into more details about different aspects of their platform. I'll pop that up above so you can jump directly to that. If you got value today, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And as always, let's get you out in the field making money. I'll see you in the next video.